All right, Bigfoot Society. We've got the privilege of talking to Mr. Greg Yost today. During the interview, though, we'll be calling this is Squatch Man. So, Squatch Man, welcome to the
Hey,
show. How are you
Jeremy,
doing
thanks
today,
for
sir?
having me on, man. I'm doing good. I had my birthday
Absolutely.
yesterday. Went to Crypticon down in Lexington. Seen a lot of Bigfoot people, man. Talk Bigfoot all day. Yeah, it was a great day. So yeah, I'm doing good, man.
I love it.
Thank you.
That's
Thank
great.
you.
Happy birthday, too. Hope it was, sounds like it was a good one for you. And man, Squatch Man, you're one of the guys that people talk about a lot. It comes up. It's come up a lot over the last few years, and I've tried. I'm like, I gotta track down Squatch Man somehow, and you actually tracked me down, and I was like, this is the best. So I'm so glad that we're able to have this interview finally, because I've heard that you have had some really interesting experiences over the years, researching and just having experiences down
Yeah,
in the
that's
state of
correct.
Indiana. Is that right?
I've had my fair share of them. No doubt about that.
Absolutely. So, when I have an individual like yourself where, you just have so many years of experience, and I want to say that 24 years is what you put down when you signed up. And so when there's an individual with that much experience, can you take us back to, was there a instance or a catalyst where it really launched you into spending so much time to try to figure out what is the answer to this question of the forest people or Bigfoot?
Yeah. The launching point for me was back in November of '02 when a Bigfoot literally walked into my life. I was just home from. I've been out of the Navy. I spent almost 11 years in the Navy. I was coming off a bad relationship. I had a couple children, and we broke up and went our separate ways. She took my babies, and I got laid off from my job. I was a union welder. This was back in 2002. It was a very bad year for me. So I started, I was unemployed. I was getting unemployment. So I was going out to the forest and the woods a lot, to try to, try to get answers. What's going on with my life? What direction am I going? What am I doing wrong? And it seemed like nothing was working. And I don't know if I was going to find the answers out there, but it was quiet out there. It was real tranquil. I could really think and really gather my thoughts. And there was this one in particular forest, Ferdinand State Forest, out in Dubois County, a town where my mother grew up at. Again, Ferdinand, Indiana, a beautiful little small town. And I went out there a lot because my grandfather helped design and engineer that forest back in 1933. And my aunt took us out there a lot when I stayed down with them during the summer. Summer vacation with your cousins. He took us out to the lake swimming. So yeah, it was a great place, man, and I loved going there. So I went there a lot, man. It was just my happy place. And this one in particular night, I went out there again. And ironically, it was about the same time of the year as it is now. It was sometimes my birthday runs right like on the day before Thanksgiving, the day after, or sometimes even right on Thanksgiving. This year it was yesterday, so it was 4 or 5 days before. So anyway, on this night, my birthday was the next day. Thanksgiving was 2 days later, and I was looking forward to that, seeing all my kin, eating Thanksgiving dinner. It was always a great time, Thanksgiving, and so I figured I'd have one more night in the forest before all the festivities and everything. So I went out there that night, and here in southern Indiana, it gets dark at 5:30. 6 o'clock, it's very dark. So I got out there and I brought my dog Buddy. He was a half chow, half golden retriever, a very large dog, uh, 80, 100 pounds. He probably could have been even heavier. I mean, he was a big dog, looked like a little grizzly bear. And he went everywhere I went. And he was with me that night. So I got a little fire going. Yeah, I brought a pack of hot dogs, some buns. Yeah, I just gonna have a nice little night out there. Wasn't gonna stay late. Just go over some things, man. Think some things out. Um, and it was a very quiet night out there. Very dark. No stars, no moon. An overcast sky, and the fire wasn't putting off much light. And again, this is my first encounter. I knew nothing about this Bigfoot entity, monsters in the woods. Yeah, I mean, I was in the Boy Scouts, man, and never heard of Bigfoot. So that was the last thing from my mind that night. So I'm sitting there, man, having a great night. And Dubois County Sheriff pulls up, and he starts talking to me. As another dog came up, like a beagle with a blue tick hound. It wasn't a full blood, but it was, along that lines of a hunting dog. And I talked to the sheriff for a while, and he really wanted that dog. And I'm like, well, it's not my dog. I said, you can't have the big one there, but you can have that other one. He goes, well, I get off at 6 in the morning. I'm going to come back out here, and if he's out here, I'm going to get him. I'm like, well, I'm not going to be out there that late, but hey, you're welcome. I mean, hey, you're the sheriff, not me. So he took off, and there wasn't nobody, not a soul in the park, late November night. Most people's getting ready for the holiday. And so, yeah, I had the whole state forest to myself that night. Not a soul in there, other than the sheriff that just left. So, it wasn't 15 minutes later, I heard this loud noise coming down off the hill. I mean, I was cornered back in this little remote area, back off a little rock road over a dam, and the lake was to the right. There's a little cut out there. Had enough for like 4 or 5 little camp places, picnic tables, some fire pits, and that was it. And there was a big hill there that butted up against the lake there, and there was a hiking trail up on the top of that hill I've been on. So I knew the area very well. But this noise was coming down the hill. I've never heard nothing like this in my life. And it was like, I mean, just crash and break and sticks. It sounded like a Sherman tank was coming down off that hill. So there was a big tree there, and he stopped behind that tree there. And it was only like 20 feet from the picnic table and my little fire. And I'm sitting there on the picnic table, trying to comprehend what's going on, man. What just happened, man? Who just walked down that hill and stopped right behind that tree there? So I started hearing the loudest breathing I've ever heard in my life. And it was like, I don't know if it was growling at me or what. Then I guess figured it out. That was, he was breathing. He just come down off that hill in about 9 steps, a big old hill. He'll come down it like it was nothing. And there he was right there, 20 feet away, breathing, loud. And my dog and his other dog walk up to the tree about 10 feet in front of the tree, and they stop. And they're just sitting there looking up at the tree. And I'm screaming at them. Buddy, his name was Buddy. I'm screaming at him, Buddy, get back here, Buddy. He wouldn't even turn around, nothing. And him and that other dog just sitting there, Yeah, like they were hypnotized or something. Wouldn't move. And far as me, I was, I'm not gonna kid you, man. I was pretty frightened. I wasn't at the point of being scared. I was frightened. There's a big difference. Yeah, I just got out of the military. I know how to handle myself in a lot of situations. I'm good with firearms. I consider myself pretty good under pressure, how to handle things when they pop up. I mean, you got to be, make split decisions, man. And I was pretty good at that kind of stuff. And I didn't have an answer for what was behind that tree. Um, all I could think of is, back when I was a little boy, Mommy, there's a monster under my bed. Help me. But no, it wasn't nothing like that. I was out here in the woods by myself. There was something definitely huge, 20 feet away from me, and I didn't know what to do. So, my car was parked like a couple of feet right from the picnic table. Yeah, I just bought it back in 2000. It was a brand new Pontiac Grand Prix. I called her Black Beauty, man. She was beautiful. And, I had a firearm in the car. I had a Colt 45 in the console. So I knew I didn't have a weapon. So I started realizing I better do something quick, man, or there's a good chance I'm going to die. I mean, I put this as a life and death situation. I had to go on full alert. I had to do anything I could, man, to get out of there alive. That's the way I was thinking right then. So I got my gun out, and a lot of times, man, I call a magazine a clip. I'm old school. That's the way we used to call them. And on some interviews, I call them clips. Some, but a lot of people, I did an interview, and a lot of people were getting on me for calling it a clip. Hey, well, whatever the case, the story wasn't about my gun. So regardless if I called it a clip or a magazine, that they knew what I meant. So anyway, I had a magazine halfway in the gun anyway. It was a Colt 45. So when I reached in and grabbed it, I jammed it up in there. I cocked around in the chamber, and I was ready for this creature. Again, no idea what it was. So the only thing I could think of, man, is start very boldly and loud, start talking to it. And that's exactly what I did. I told him I didn't want no trouble. Told him I didn't know what it was. I didn't know who you were. I mean, at this point, was it a human? I mean, I had no idea. I just know it was something really big. So I kept, telling him, hey, you come around that tree, man, I'm shooting you. Said, I got a gun here, man, and I will kill you. I go, you mess with my dog or me, don't make me do it, but I'm going to do it. And I cussed at him a lot. I probably used every cuss word in the book. And I was getting, I was getting pretty angry. Me and my son, not back then. My son was a 2-year-old boy back then. But, I always like saying, when a man gets cornered, when it's a life or death situation, that man's got to go into warrior mode. Regardless of what kind of man he is, what kind of training he's had in the military. I mean, every man has that mode. They probably don't know it, but it's in there. So anyway, I turned into that warrior mode that night, and I was gonna fight this thing. I mean, I was waiting for him to come around the tree. I was gonna blast him with everything I had, but he didn't, and Buddy wouldn't turn around or come to me. So I had to walk up that 10 feet and grab Buddy with my left arm. Lift this big, large, heavy dog in my lap and take him back to my car at the same time, holding my pistol up there, knowing this thing's going to come around when he sees me vulnerable like that. So I got back. I got Buddy in the car, and I drove back to that dam I was just telling you about. I was shaking like a leaf on a tree. I still couldn't process what was going on. I just felt a lot better now. I was in my car. I felt safe. So I drove back up to that picnic table, and I hit the lights on my Grand Prix, the bright lights, and I lit that area up. And I looked up at that tree, and there was a big black arm from the elbow to the fingertips hanging on that tree with black shiny hair hanging down off that arm. From the fingers all the way to the elbow. And I'm driving up slow, thinking to myself, what is that? And I got up to the picnic table. I could almost get out, right there, open the door and there's my stuff. I got it in there and I left. And that little dog was still sitting there. So I'm like, oh my God, why are you doing this to me? I mean, now I got to rescue this other dog. So against better judgment, man, I elected not to. Maybe I should have, maybe I shouldn't have. But I feel I pushed my luck enough that night, and if I would have went back there, who knows what could have happened. But I got away from that. I got away that night, and it changed my life. And it changed my life for the better. Here I am out trying to find myself. I was a lost man. I was a broken man. And this thing walked into my life, and he changed all that. Now I'm a very popular man. People love me. The Squatch Man. I got great stories. I got great evidence. I got great pictures. Everything I do, man, is great in the Bigfoot thing. I found out that they really like me. And I'm at the point now where you wouldn't believe some of the things I can do with them. I'm not going to jump over the whole 20 years of experience, but, that was your first question. What got me into that? And, there's my answer, Jeremy.
Squatch Man, that what an incredible introduction to the world of Bigfoot. My goodness, and that's a new area for us. But for maybe for listeners that didn't look it up, that forest area is just west of Hoosier.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of sightings. Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of sightings around that area. After I did that interview, you wouldn't believe all the people got a hold of me from, around Ferdinand and around, Dubois County up that way, and said they had encounters in that forest. There's one young lady I'll never forget. She got a hold of me one Saturday morning, and she almost was panicking. Said her and her mother were jogging through there and won't come out on them. And I'm like, did it attack you? And she's like, no, we were just running down the trail and it run out in front of us. Stopped. We stopped and he growled at us and into the woods, walked away from us. And she goes, I tried to tell a couple of people, man, and they just laughed at me, go, there's no Bigfoots in Ferdinand. And so she goes, and I found out about you through a podcast. And I told my mom, and we got to talk to this guy. So that's what I'm in this for, man. I don't really care about evidence. I'm not in it to research them. I'm in it to find out everything I can about them. And I think I've accomplished a lot of things so far. And I've learned a lot of things about them. And I do know the main thing, you got to go about it the right way. If you go out there with bad intentions, a bad heart, if you're a bad person, you're not going to get no action from them. But, take me for an example. I'm a good man, a very good man, a very good heart. I love people, man. I love the welfare of people. I love the welfare of animals, pets, but both domestic and wild animals. I just got a lot of love, man, for all God's creations, man. And this is where it all starts. And I think I share a lot of that with the forest people. And I think that night out in Ferdinand, I like to call that the awakening. I think they wanted to see what kind of man I really was before they started really, should I say, getting into my life. And ever since that, man, it's been incredible. I mean, I got some stories that will flat out blow people's minds. And the good thing about a lot of these stories, I got a lot of witnesses that have been with me. Yeah, it's just not me sitting there telling stories. A lot of people have seen what I can do. And that's where I got the name Squatch Man. Yeah, a lot of people, man, like, man, are you a Squatch or are you a man? Are you a hybrid? I mean, how did you know so much? And so that's where the name Squatch Man developed from. And I kind of liked it, so I'm like, hey, that's cool. But there's so much information out there all over the internet. They're this, they're that. From what I can see, I agree with some of it. I don't agree with some of it. Some of it's so far out there. I don't know where people get these things at. But it's a wild and crazy journey that I have been on, and I would tell you a few more stories here on the podcast today, Jeremy.
Was there a certain time that made you start referring to them as the forest people?
Yes, that would be the second time. My second encounter. I call this one the Knobstone Stare Down. Or again, with my dog Buddy, and we were out hiking. And this was 3 years almost to the date of my first encounter. And we're going down the Knobstone Trail. It's supposed to be one of the ruggedest, hardest trails to walk, other than the Appalachian Trail. A lot of people call it the Mini Appalachian. I mean, it's a hard trail to go, 66 miles, the whole trail. So sometimes after work, I would go out there. This is around Clark State Forest. This is in my county. Because I figured if I didn't want to go to all the way to Ferdinand all the time, man, because that's where I had my first encounter. I said, well, maybe there are other forests around here. So I started going to Clark State Forest around Deems Lake area, up around Henryville. The Clark State Forest, very well known. It's Indiana's oldest and largest forest. So I'm like, well, I'm going to start looking in here. I mean, if they're here, I'll find them in here. So, I started hiking around, man. I started researching that forest. And, I still didn't know nothing about them. That night, I called that thing a monster. I wasn't sure it was a Bigfoot. I didn't know what it was. I know it was very big and it had a big, hairy arm on it. And I always liked thinking, back when I was growing up, I loved the show Lost in Space. They had a lot of monsters like that on there, big hairy monsters. And that's what I kept wanting to think about. It was like one of them hairy monsters on Lost in Space. But I mean, this wasn't no TV show, man. And this guy was real. I always had that in my back of my mind, that I wanted to see one up close in the daylight and really get a good look at them and see what they really look like. All I seen was that arm that night. So, I got my wish that afternoon. I'm walking Buddy. We go about 2.5 miles, and I had a turnaround point there where I always sat down. I had a bowl of water and water and stuff like that in my backpack I carried. So I got the bowl out. I gave Buddy his water. I'm drinking my water. And this little buck comes walking by. And he had his antlers were just coming out, man. It's the blur on him. And he's a proud little fellow, man. Just, you can tell he was a cocky little guy. And he's just prancing by, about 30, 40 feet down the little hill there. We're up on the trail. And he didn't even mind us or nothing, man. Looked right at us. And I like to call him Rudolph, man. Being around Christmas now, he looked like Rudolph. So there was a big wall there of ivy and honeysuckle and vines. Stuff that usually stays green, a little longer than the other leaves that fall off. So it was like a big wall there. And he goes prancing behind that, and I figured that'd be the end of that. So then we hear, heck break out over there. Heavy footsteps, branches breaking. Just an all-out melee going on. Buddy's ears are perked up, and all of a sudden, here comes this deer flying out of there. He wasn't thrown out. He flew out on his own, hit the ground, jumped up again. And I can honestly say I've never seen a deer move like this, more or less a little one like that. I mean, he was literally flying down that ridge. And Buddy has a bad habit of chasing animals. So I didn't want to go running through the woods. I mean, it was about 5 o'clock. It's going to get dark here in about a half an hour. So I reached down and put his leash on his collar. And I'm kneeling down, and I'm talking to him. And I'm like, yeah, buddy, ain't that beautiful? That's why we come out here, man, see stuff like that. And then I asked him, I go, well, what do you think? It scared that little guy. So he's doing his last thing. And all of a sudden his head goes from there to, he just whips it over there and immediately starts growling, hair on his body coming up. I mean, I never seen a dog like this before. And I'm like, OMG, what is it? So I didn't even look up yet. So I'm thinking to myself, it's gotta be a Bigfoot. It's gotta be a Bigfoot. So I got the nerve, man. I looked up and I was wrong. It wasn't a Bigfoot. It was two Bigfoots. And they were standing right there where that deer just come out of. And one was a big reddish one. He looked very old, man. He was an ancient one. People always ask me, well, how old did he look? Well, to be honest with you, he looked like he was about 150 years old. His hair was all receded. He had wrinkles in his forehead. His skin was real weathered. He kind of reminded me of the last picture I seen of Chief Geronimo that they took of him before he died. He almost like a Native American face on him. Lips like ours, a nose like ours. This wasn't no ape. It wasn't a monkey. It wasn't some big Neanderthal man. What this was a body that looked like ours, is a lot bigger and hairier, with a face that looked a lot human than it did anything else. And the other one was a big black one. And I call this one Little Kong, because if there was such thing as King Kong, this would be his son. This thing was enormous. The classic no neck, 4 or 5 feet shoulders, look like bowling balls up there on her shoulders, biceps that look like telephone poles. I mean, he was like a superhero. you could not imagine how built and buff this guy was. I mean, he just looked. I mean, it's undescribable how I can describe him other than almost godly looking with his body, like a god. The old Greek gods. He looked like one of them, and he's a lot more serious than the other one. When I looked at the other one, it looked like more soothing, more comfortable. Like he was a grand elder, letting me know, man, I'm safe. And the other one, I could tell he's a lot younger. His hairline went right over his eyes. You can barely see him. Ever set back there, big ridge, big forehead, and his eyes sunk back in the forehead. And he had like grayish skin, other than the other one had like ruddy tan skin. And just by looking at him, man, his chest and everything, yeah, if he was going to do something, I was going to die that day. There's no way I could ever defend myself against him and his dad, his granddad, whoever that old one was. But we just sat there, and Buddy's going crazy. Yeah, he's trying to protect me. That was my boy, and he was doing Ren 1010 that day. He would have died for his owner. He would have died for me, protecting me from these creatures. And I don't like calling them creatures now, but back then they were. And a lot of people will say, well, most dogs are scared of Bigfoot. They ain't gonna do. Well, I'm sorry to tell you, Buddy wasn't that day. So I don't care what the naysayers want to say or whatever. Unless you was there, you don't know how Buddy acted that day, but I do. And man, he was a beast that day. So anyway, I'm watching them. I'm looking down at Buddy. I don't know what's going on, man. Everything's going through my head. Is this my last breath coming up here? I just seen them try to get that little deer. I'm sure they're hungry. Are me and Buddy next? I was like, God help me, man. God help me. Because I didn't have no weapons. I really don't like carrying firearms anymore. I didn't have a knife on me, anything. I didn't even have a walking stick. So there wasn't nothing I was going to defend myself. So I was pretty much, here I am. But the only advantage I did have, I was up on the trail looking down at them. But still, we were almost still looking eye to eye. That's how tall they were. And they were 50, 60 feet down that trail. So they had to be 9, 10 feet tall. And it seemed like forever, man. 3, 4 minutes. I said, come on, buddy, man. It's time to get out of here. So again, I had him leashed up. I bent down. I threw his water bowl in the backpack, slung it over my shoulder, and I took off. Looked over at the two people, because they were definitely people. And I said, sorry, we're not on the menu. I don't know why I said that, but I did. And I said, come on, buddy, let's get out of here, man. So we're walking down, and I'm looking. I'm looking. Well, they're still standing there, not even moving. So being a military man, I figured they would have come up high or come down low and flank us. When I wasn't looking, man, you get a better angle of attack on us. A lot of people don't, or an enemy, whatever. They don't like having the disadvantage coming up a hill. So I figured they were going to come out. So I was looking for a weapon. A nice size stick, a rock, anything to help me defend me and my dog. Yeah, I did pick up a nice size stick, and we made it back to the car, man. I never seen him again. I think about the Ferdinand charge, and I think about this one, the Knobstone stare down. I think about it a lot because both of them taught me very big lessons. One, they're friendly people, and two, they look a lot like us. Take away the hair and the huge size, they are humans. They got 2 legs, 2 arms, hands, feet, heads, brains, exact same bodies as humans, male, female. They reproduce. They're family units. They are so much like that, like us. It's just too similar to be a coincidence. So that's why I got the idea that they're more than more than some kind of ape out there, man. And they're people.
Was there a time after that you feel that there was any form of communication that ever opened up back and forth?
It's funny you said that. I got on tape one of the best audios ever of one speaking, and they let me know that day that they don't want me using no equipment. They don't want me using audio recorders. They don't want me using cameras, flare cameras, night vision cameras, infrared cameras. They do not like that stuff. I mean, yeah, a lot of people use it. I haven't seen much stuff come from them, but a lot of people use that stuff. I don't, because when I did put my recorder back by my gifting stuff, where I camp out, I give them gifts, mainly food items. They love it. In return, they do stuff for me. And on this one particular day, I had 4 or 5 people camping with me, and I said, "Look, I'm going to set my recorder back there by the gifting stuff, hide it under this tree here, put leaves on it, and see if we can pick something up." And boy, when I got home the next day, I played it 24 hours. And when I got home the next day, you would not believe some of the things I've heard. But the main thing I heard on it, I mean, I could speak a whole hour about what was on that tape. But the main thing was on it was one, you could hear one walk right up to it, pick it up, and tap on it like this. He taps on it, and then he goes, very similar to that. And another one walks up, and he goes, "Yahweh, what is it?" And then you hear him go, "Oh," like disgusted. So you hear the big one that found it, takes about 5 steps. I mean, you hear all this is going on, man, 50 feet from us. We're at the campfire, cooking hot dogs. It's high noon when all this happened. That was the mark on my audio. This happened at high noon. So all this is going on back there. So he takes about 5 steps and he rips a branch out of a tree. You hear it. Bam! And does a real loud tree knock. And we're all sitting up there. We all heard that tree knock, and I'm like, "Oh, that's cool, man. Hopefully my recorder got it." So I got that all in one day. But I figure they got pretty mad because they don't want me using that recorder, so I quit using it. And if I do take pictures, I ask first. "Hey, I'm going to take pictures. If you don't want to be in the picture, leave. If not, hey, be my guest." And I teach other people to do this. And you would not believe the pictures we have got from up there at my camp. A lot of forest people. And then there was another night when I come to realize that they know who I am. I had one come up behind my tent at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm just about sleeping. It's just about halfway between sleeping and not sleeping. And I hear a Greg. They're kind of like that breathing I heard at Ferdinand. And so I got up on my elbows and I'm like, man, no way. Did something just call my name? So I'm like, oh man, and I'm talking to myself. I'm like, no, man, you're hearing things, and then nobody called your name. I go lay back down, and go back to sleep, man. So I on my elbows, and then my other voice is like, oh, I don't know. Sounded like somebody said something to me. I like to go at all angles. I don't like to write nothing off or dismiss anything. Yeah, till the writing's on the wall. So it was a good 5 minutes went by, and this time, no mistake, Rick is really loud, really loud. So I'm like, OMG. And I don't know if you ever heard this. I have. If anything ever calls your name from the woods at night, don't answer it. I mean, I heard that before. So that was in my mind. I'm like, I'm not answering.
Oh, wow.
I am not answering back. Mm-hmm. So all of a sudden, I had two gentlemen from a hall right next to me. And one of his name's Bob. And Bob yells out, hey, Greg, you okay? So I'm thinking, I'm like, yeah, I'm okay, man. Why? What's going on? She goes, well, I just heard you yell, get out, man. And what's going on over there? So we got out of our tents, and I'm like, okay, what'd you hear? What sounded? It was real graspy, man, but it's like, get out. And I go, what about this? Did it sound more like this? Greg. He goes, yeah, that was it. He goes, well, what was that, dude? I go, what do you think it was, man? I said, I can't absolutely tell you it was a Bigfoot, man, but I think a Bigfoot, man, was right there behind my tent calling my name out. And a couple more people were waking up. They're like, dude, that's unbelievable. I mean, one knows your name. So that was about it for that. So I found this forest right in my same county that's full of Bigfoots. So I started, I was really excited, man. I started going out there a lot. I still go out there a lot to this day. 2 or 3 days a week sometimes. And there's this one creek there. I always walk the same creek all the way back to the lake and back. It's probably 2.5, 3 mile high. Nothing big, but I'm getting old and it's all I need. And there's a lot of activity on this creek. Yeah, I call it the Enchanted Creek. So much goes on. One day, I'm casting a baby print, and it looked like a little bigger than the baby, like people call them juveniles, adolescents, whatever you want to call it. It's like a little boy's print next to the baby print. So I'm casting both of them. And the significance behind this, because this was in March, cold of the winter, and back in July, right on that same creek, I had an encounter where I got zapped. And for people who don't know what that means, well, I'll tell you the whole what happened. I walked up to this. It wasn't a cave, but it was a washout, like on this bank by the creek, and there was a lot of room in there. And a Bigfoot could get in there and cool off, whatever. So I was taking a picture of it to show my buddy at work, a good place, where one could hide or cool off. This was in July, a hot summer day. I was out there sweating like a dog that day. I remember it good. So as soon as I snapped a picture with my phone, I started sweating real bad. I got real dizzy. I went down to my knees, man. I thought I was going to throw up. I was disorientated, man. I didn't know exactly which way to go. And I'm trying to figure out what's going on, man. So I got away from that area and everything went away. So I'm like, man, what was all that about? and it's kind of scary. That's never happened to me before. So when I got back at the house, man, I looked at that picture, and there's a mother in there that must have just had birth to a newborn, because the baby looked blue and it had red eyes. And just like some human babies, man, that they're born blue. So I think I walked up on a mother just giving birth, and she zapped the heck out of me and let me know, hey, we love you, dude, but you're not getting this close. So I learned a valuable lesson that day. And back to them footprints. So I'm casting them. And then again, this was in March, a number of months later. So I'm trying to think if that baby print was that the baby I'd seen in the cave, 5-6 months earlier. Or are they up and walking this soon? I'm trying to figure out, do they walk a lot faster than a baby? Or sometimes it takes a baby, a human baby, 12 months or longer to start walking. So I was just trying, just thinking of all kinds of stuff. And out of the corner of my left eye, I see a brown figure, man, up on the ridge line, up over the creek, right up the bank from me. And, the first thing that came to my thought was, what is a UPS man doing out here? Because it was all brown. And that's the first thought I had. I'm like, no, that don't sound right. So I glanced over, and so, holy cow, it was a female walking down that ridge line. I mean, not 1 or 2 steps. I've seen a good 8 or 9 steps where this gal, it looked like she was gliding down that ridge. Her head was barely moving. It wasn't bobbing like he was walking like a human. This is the first time I ever seen one walking. And the reason I know it was a female, I seen her breast. It wasn't like Patty. It wasn't a real big female. I tell a lot of people that this is like, I call it the shack body. Big but tall, but not, 1,000-pound body. I mean, maybe 300 pounds at the most. And 7-8 feet tall. I don't know. It's hard to tell up there on that ridge. But I watched her take about 8 or 9 steps. Then she went down over the ridge. And I'm like, oh, wow. I mean, that's like winning the lottery that day. And I mean, I'll never forget all the stuff that I see. I don't talk about stories much. But when I do, man, it brings back memories, like it just happened that day. Just like getting zapped.
Right.
And I've been zapped twice more after that, and it's no fun.
It sounds like one of the worst things that you can go through regarding Bigfoot. Do you have any thoughts about how a person can make sure they have the right intentions when they're trying to go out and look for Bigfoot?
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, man, you got to have a good heart. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And you can't go to Walmart. You can't go to the dollar store to buy a good heart. You either got one or you don't. You're either a good person or you're not a good person. I mean, I'm not here to judge people. That's Jesus and God's job. I'm just here to give you my perspective and my philosophy of what these beings are out there. And I do know being a good person has a lot to do with it. I mean, I've known people that have been out there 30, 40 years and never seen nothing. Zilch. And then there's people like me, they walk into my life. Why? Did they choose me? Do they like me? Do they know something about me that I don't? And then I started figuring it all out. Well, you're a good dude. I've never hurt nobody unless I had to. I help people all the time. I'm a religious man. And that's the most important factor of the Forest people, of being a godly man. They're all about God. I mean, if I got one on tape saying Yahweh, that's what the Jewish and the Cherokee Indians call God. Yahweh. Yahweh. It's pronounced different ways. And I got one on tape saying this. So it's all about, man, it's all about aligning yourself, with the universe, with God, with your heart, loving yourself, loving the environment, not going out polluting the environment, doing your part as a human to make the world a better place. Don't complain and moan and groan about everything. Hey, to try to change it, man, fix it. We need more good people in this world. And the forest people don't like a lot of people. There's probably 95% of the population that will never see one because first and foremost, they don't believe in them. I've seen all these podcasts and all the remarks and everything, and people are, you wouldn't believe all the hate people put out on Bigfoot ain't real. And people like me we're just all a bunch of nuts or whatever. But that's the thing, man. If you're gonna get into this, man, you got to have a thick skin, and you don't worry about what the peons say.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean they can say whatever they want up there on the peanut gallery. I mean I know for a fact what I know. I've seen it. I lived it, and nobody's gonna tell me any different. I mean they can believe me or they can't believe me. I could care less because I'm not on here for that. I'm on here to let the true-hearted people, the good people, know the way to the forest people or through your hearts, man. And once you've build that first that interaction with them, they're going to know what kind of person you are. I think they go after people with good hearts, and they go from there. I mean, there's a lot of people like me. I'm not the only one.
Sure.
But again, I don't get into other people's business, man. I don't. I speak highly of everybody. I'm not on here to, this guy, I don't like him. I don't like her. Hey, to each their own, man. However you want to go about this. There's no book written. You got to follow these rules. So it's how you want to take it. And this is the way I've taken it. And it's working great for me.
Is there a way that, so the tapes that you've mentioned where you've recorded things, are those available publicly anywhere, or are those just like personal?
Well, I got them. No, I haven't personally put them out on, public media. I played it at, I spoke at Bigfoot conferences. I play them there. But people love it. And let me add, on my tape that I sent to a sound expert in Quantico, Virginia, if that gives you an idea, that came back non-human. And that's even with the Yahweh.
Wow.
So it was English language, but it wasn't a human speaking it, so to say. And the first one where he was talking just all in, I call it Squatch talk, that was totally non-human. And this came back from the man in Quantico, the speech specialist that does this for a living every day. So that was good to know, man. It wasn't somebody out in the woods hoaxing or nothing. That I knew it wouldn't be anyway, but you got to be sure.
It sounds like people definitely keep an eye out for when Squatch Man does presentations. I'm guessing you probably do.
Yes. Actually, I did like 5 just this past year. And, the Indiana Bigfoot Conference. It's always a great time. I've been there 2 years in a row now. I spoke at one down in Kentucky, down by Mammoth Cave, about a month ago. That was a really good one. I went all the way down to London, Kentucky, down by Tennessee. Yeah, all these communities, they're all popping up everywhere. It's the Bigfoot phenomenon. Everybody wants to know all about Bigfoot. And that's where
Absolutely.
I feel most comfortable at. Letting these people know my perspective on it, and they really seem to like what I tell them. I mean, I have huge crowds at my presentations. Good reaction from the people. They like what I say, man. And there's not a lot of people like me, but I just went to Crypticon down in Lexington, Kentucky yesterday. I'm good friends with a lot of them guys down there. Russell LaCord from Expedition Bigfoot. Yeah, he was there. He's a great friend of mine. Yeah, he even autographed and gave me two of his books he just wrote, man, for a birthday present. Great. Yeah, great man,
Oh,
Russell,
that's great.
man. I can't speak enough good things about the guy. And Charlie Raymond, man, he gave me a book he just wrote. Yeah, Bigfoot Encounters in the Daniel Boone Forest. Charlie's one of the first guys I
Mm-hmm.
met when I got into this. He's just like the rest of us, man. He loves Bigfoot, and you got to love people like that, man. I mean, they stick to their guns. They don't shy away when people try to bash them, and I mean, when we know what we know, man, when we know they're out there, and a lot of people just can't swallow that. No way, Bigfoot's not real. How come they never caught one? How come they never killed one? How come one's not in a zoo, the circus, on the laboratory, table where he's about to get all cut up? How come that don't happen? I get asked that all the time, and I got one answer. They're too smart for that. You'll never see them do that. I mean, these things can do a
Mm-hmm.
lot more than people can
Right.
wrap their finger around. So I don't even want to get into all that. But we ain't talking about some dumb animal. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, that's it's a whole. I mean, that's you could talk for hours on that. Uh, Squatch Man, I've got one more question for you, and so thankful for the time you're able to spend with us today. Uh, let's pretend you were put in a completely new part of the U.S. where you'd never been before, and you say, "Okay, I got to figure out where are the places I'm going to go to try to have an interaction with Bigfoot." What kind of things would you look for or do in order to find these areas that would probably be the best?
Well, from what I'm about to tell you right now, will probably blow your mind. But wherever I go, the forest people are there. I don't know if they're there already or they follow me there. But everywhere I go, that's why I want to. That's why I want to end this interview by telling you what I can do now.
Mm.
I raise my hands up. I ask them to do stuff for me. I communicate with them. And a lot of times they do stuff for me. I would tell you a couple quick stories. We got a little time left. Yeah, I'll give you an example of what I can do with them.
Hmm.
Okay, I was going to move to Washington. And I had my dear friends, Pac-Man Paranormal, with me. Ernie Denise Pike and her daughter. And we were having a show for a well-known personality that he's on Coast to Coast. She does interviews on there every now and then. Very well-known personality, and she wanted to have a show where Bigfoot meets paranormal and see what techniques work and blah blah blah. So anyway, I was showing Ernie and Denise, what I do, man, how I communicate with them. So I told them I was moving to Washington, and I really, I'm bummed out, man. I'm sad. I said, I may not ever be back here again. I go, can you do something really big so I will never forget? Something huge. Make this forest come alive. I mean, make it bang. And within seconds, 7, 8 trees got pushed over. I mean, cracking, banging. I mean, 2 foot, 3 foot Indiana red oak trees getting snapped in half like little twigs all around us. And there was a tree hanging over the one-way road we were on. And Ernie's wife, Denise, found it. She said, hey, I found one of the trees. And they pushed us up out of the root ball like a bulldozer did it. There's no way in heck a man could have did this. And we were all right there anyway. There wasn't no people there. It was just us there in a dark forest. And this is Memorial Day weekend, 5 years ago, on Monday night, Memorial Day night. There was a spring shower going by, but it was already past. It wasn't no wind or nothing. It was already quit raining. So anyway, we're looking at this tree that got pushed over by the roots. So we go back up 50 feet away. I counted it out many a times. As all this happened within feet of us. All of a sudden, that tree that's going across the road I just told you about was hung up in another one right on the other side of the road in a branch about 30 feet high, and it wasn't flat on the road. So all of a sudden, you see that tree going, violently shaking. Violently shaking like a hurricane. And Ernie's like, look, man, look at that black blob up there. And about 30 feet up, there's a big black blob, like Ernie just said, shaking the heck out of this tree. And then that one cracks. I don't know if you ever heard 100-foot, 2-foot trees cracking, but it's very, very loud, man. And it would have scared and freaked out probably anybody. And we're just standing there, man, just loving it. So they get done with all this. And I told Ernie, I said, look, dude, I can't believe this. And he goes, Greg, you asked for it, man. You asked for this. So what I like doing, we thanked him, we clapped, we cheered, and we gave her praise for such a show of power. So we walk up in front of the van there. We all went into Ernie's van. So every now and then, the lightning from the passing summer storm would light up the area just a bit. So it lit up. And I'm looking between these 2 trees right there in front of us. And there's 5 Bigfoot standing there. I'm talking big boys. Shoulder to shoulder to shoulder. All the way across a 30, 35-foot area. 5 of them took that whole space out, standing shoulder to shoulder. And it was only a flash and it was gone. So I'm like, OMG. And before I could even say anything, Denise goes, you won't believe what I just seen. So I'm like, well, let's hear, man. What'd you hear, Denise? She just said what I just told you. So I'm like, oh, man. So I slapped her high five, told her I seen them, Ernie seen them. So not only did we get that, we got to see the people that did it. So if that gives you any idea that they do stuff when I ask them. Another good example, Ernie had a guy come all the way from New York. I'll give you his first name is Steven. He wanted a Bigfoot encounter. He's never had one in his life. It was just me, Ernie, Denise, him, and one of his buddies from up there. We were the only ones there. I asked the forest people, it was Father's Day just this year, back in June, just this year. I asked the forest people, I said, hey, man, it's Father's Day today. And there's one I call Big Red. He's my buddy. He follows me everywhere. He's got beautiful red eyes that glow. And that's what I call him, Big Red. So I asked him if he could do something special for all the fathers. I said, look, I know you're a dad, Big Red. I said, do something big for us. Push over a tree if you want, bro. So it wasn't 30 seconds later. Again, right on cue, you hear it was, ugh! And this man has wrote memoirs how I changed his life that night. And that's just a few examples of what I do. But I can talk to them, man, and they do stuff that I ask them. I ask them to light their eyes up. Eye glow. I could go out to the woods any night of the week, and they will be out there, just like you said, any woods. Kentucky, Tennessee, Indiana, they follow me everywhere. And you will see eye glow. They don't always push trees over. That's a big order. I'm not going to ask them to push trees over all the time, but occasionally I will, and they do it. I'll ask them for a tree knock. They'll give me a tree knock. But when it's all said and done, like these two women from Tennessee told me just a couple of weeks ago, just remember, Squatch Man, nobody can do what you can do. And I have hundreds of witnesses that have seen this. You know, this just ain't me speaking. I got so many witnesses that have seen me do this. So, I mean, there's not too many people like me who can talk to the forest people and get them to do stuff. And that's going to be, when I'm dead and gone, people will probably remember me for that the most. That, my relationship with them, my encounters, but mainly the respect and the love we have for each other. And it goes far, man. It goes far. So, I mean, I feel like I'm a very lucky man and a very blessed man with what I got going on with the forest people.
Thank you for sharing that with us. When you signed up, there's so if people want to try to reach out, they can find you on Facebook.
Yes, I'm Greg Yost. Facebook. Yeah, you want to follow me? Hit the friends button. A friends request. I still got over. I think I got like 3,500 friends. I mean, you're allowed for 5,000. See, I got plenty of room. And yeah, I just love telling my stories. I got great evidence pictures I post from time to time. And I got on Facebook, on the YouTube channel, Squatch Man TV, Journey to the Truth. I got quite a few episodes on there. Ever since COVID hit back in 2020, we haven't been back running since. My son moved away, but he's coming back. So, just bear with me. I'll be getting new stuff out. But what I got on there is pretty good. And I got a 5-part documentary about the Louisville Goat Man. People would love seeing that. I proved that the Louisville Goat Man is more than a myth, more than a legend. He's real. I had a good time coming on your show today.
Awesome. Well,
seemed like a very nice young man, and I hope people enjoyed my show, and I hope I told people some stuff they needed to know, and maybe educated some people about the forest people.
100%. Thank you so much for coming on, Squatch Man.